Hello, welcome to Box to Board. Now today we are going to discuss Guildball, and more importantly the fact that it's just been announced that it is stopping at the end of Season 5. Those of you who've watched the channel for a while will know that at the beginning we were really into Guildball. It was one of the things that was on quite a lot on this channel at the very, very start. It's a great game. It's an absolutely superb game in many respects. There's nothing quite like it. Certainly I haven't seen anything like it. It's lovely that it's a sport game that isn't just random chance, just enough chance in it to make it a little bit unpredictable, but a lot of strategy and skill in it. I got into it at the very start actually of Guildball. Not the very, very start. It wasn't in a Kickstarter, but I came in at Salute, the first Salute they were in. Fell in love with the company. I thought they were absolutely superb. They came across as being nice people who were incredibly friendly and just decent guys. And actually, I remember sitting thinking, wow, okay, this is. I was just new into the gaming community. I thought this is the way it should be. This is what business should be like. And to be honest, I got into it and because I liked the company. I liked the way that they were operating. I liked their business. I liked the way they were talking to their customers. I thought it was absolutely superb. Fast forward to the announcement today. And what we're looking at is some undercurrents that are, I just please learn from this, folks. You know, if you're setting up a business, please learn from this. Because to me, this isn't something to get angry about, and please hear my heart on this. It's not something to get angry about, but it's something that saddens me. Is that fast forward 5 or 6 years, and we're in a situation where a company is saying, well, you know, the tournament scene became, there's an undercurrent of, it's the hyper-competitive people's fault that we're folding this game. I might be misreading that. I hope I am. And if I am, please tell me I am. Please comment underneath. But my reading of the press, of the release, and I'll put a link on one of the comments. My reading of it is it's come to the end of its course and it had become a game where it was very hard to win as a new player. I totally agree with that. It's the reason why I stopped playing it, to be honest. It was always going to be my second game, not my first game. I loved it, but you know what? There were other games that I just really enjoyed more because I'm kind of more military mindset as far as games go. I like military games. And for me, Guildball was brilliant because it was the people I was playing with. It was the company I was buying from. It was 101 things, but it wasn't my first genre. It wasn't a genre that I would necessarily go to. But I recognised it as being brilliant, so I stuck with it for quite a while, actually. And the club I go to, there were some very good players of Guildball. And it was the kind of game that you could excel in. It was the kind of game that you could develop skill and ability in. Absolutely gorgeous game to play from that point of view. And you could find yourself daydreaming about. But there were some, my opinion, my humble opinion, there were some mistakes that were made. Number one, going away from blister packs. Because actually I spent a lot, whenever I went away from blister packs, that was the last straw for me. I stopped playing, to be honest. I kind of knew that it was going to be competitive. I'd gone to a couple of events, gone to a couple of tournaments. I was glad if I didn't come last. You know, and that was just the way it was. And I knew that, and I understood that, and that was fine. But, and I had a good time. But, you know, one of the things I liked was that I could buy a team, and then I could build that team gradually, and it was an impulse buy, because it was a blister pack, and it was never going to be across my little threshold of conscious decision, if you like, where I have to go, I need to think about this. Blister packs, the beauty of them is that if you get, you know, they're £10, you go, it's an impulse buy, I can buy that. And impulse buys are brilliant because you can actually spend, from a company's point of view, I suspect, because there's a model there that says you can buy lots of stuff from us relatively cheaply and make some money from it. Great. As soon as they went to the new model, where it was buying whole teams, I think I bought 2 boxes. So I ended up with 1 team. Before that, I had 3 full teams. And maybe they made more money off that. I don't know. I don't know the business behind it, but I just know that it meant that there wasn't the same excitement, there wasn't the same ability to develop and explore the game. I know that from a gamer's point of view, it just wasn't as good. That was the way I saw it. Now, that is sad to me. I think that was a mistake. And that was whenever I got out of it. And then I became a spectator of a game that I really appreciated, really thought was brilliant, but wasn't participating in. And as a spectator, the release schedule started to dry up, and it looked like a slow death, to be perfectly frank. And a couple of times I was tempted to get back in, but then I just went, you know what? I think it's too competitive. I'm going to go back in, I'm going to get beaten all the time. I'm not going to even have tight games. If I get drawn against certain players, I'm going to be out of the game before in 2 or 3 minutes. Possibly, even, literally. But I'm not going to last very long. The game's going to be over before it begins, because I know if I'm drawn against that person, the chances of me beating them are very low, because they're smarter than I am, to be perfectly blunt about it. And this is their first game, and they think a lot about it, and it's a game that really rewards that. And I actually agree with some of the stuff that's in the statement in that regard. But there's a difference between knowing that and a company saying that. Because as gamers, we buy from companies we like. And I'm afraid it comes across as being a little bit naive. And it saddens me whenever the company comes and says, well, it was too competitive. Because the undercurrent of that is the players caused that problem. And actually, that might be a bit hurt. Because one of the things that stood out was that the game was a game that people loved that had made it. They really loved it. But it got out of control. Now, can I just state there are plenty of very competitive games that are financially viable. There are plenty of competitive sports where people have lots of entry points. You never would look at the Olympics and go, well, because there's people who run that fast, I will never run, because I'll never be able to beat them. That's all right. There's ways of entering running that are good. Now, running's maybe a bad example, because the reality is what you do is you're going to run because it keeps you alive. But something like table tennis or badminton, there's ways of finding players that are at your level and that you can play against, and you're not going to be wiped off the floor every time. Badminton, I love badminton, but there's people that if I play against them, they're just going to wipe the floor with me. But there's ways of finding players who aren't like that. There wasn't so much of that, I found, whenever it came to Guildball. And there's companies that are running businesses based... 40k is one of the most competitive games in the world. It really is. You want to find people who meta... Go play 40k. You want to play people who are going to wipe the floor with you, even structurally in the game. Go play 40k. And yet people still play it. Why? Because it's fun. They managed to keep the world rich enough, the release schedule bright enough. 40k was struggling until it got its release schedule right, and now it is thriving because their release schedule drives the business model. The minute you stop releasing stuff, you stop selling stuff. And their business model was driven, they've lifted as a company because they've had lots of shiny toys. I think the challenge for Steamforge has been, they started to look at what was happening in the community, and we don't like that. Fair enough. And they let the community take control of it rather than actually driving it, the business driving the control of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know what I'm trying to say here to some extent, but it feels like there was a moment where it stopped becoming they were in control of the situation, and now they're stopping the game because it's those nasty players' fault. A business should not say that. Now, the reason I'm saying that is simply this. You do not want to turn off your customer base. In this game, you know what? A lot of people are my age and male and kind of just doing this because they like doing it. It's the social side of it. They really don't want you to. They really don't want to feel as if you don't respect them. The people who cared most about Guildball were the highly competitive players. And I remember somebody saying this once about a teacher, actually. And they said it wasn't what they did to them, it was what they did to the other students that made them nervous. And to some extent, the thing that makes me sad and a little bit nervous is that this is a situation where a highly loved franchise is being shut down and there's an undercurrent of it's their fault. And I'm looking at this and going, if you're doing that to the people who are extremely loyal to you, I'm nervous. I don't think I'll look at your stuff for a while. It's not a big loss, but I bet I'm not alone in that. And the challenge for Steamforged is, how do you make sure that you win people over again? And my encouragement would be, you know what? The reason why people fell in love with your company was because they loved the fact that you loved your games. Do something you love. Pick out something you really, really believe in. Develop it, nurture it, release it. Let's see that again, and you'll win your player base back. Your business will thrive. It's easy to make money in terms of fire out loads of Kickstarters. But to make a business that thrives in the longer term, that employs people for decades, that will be something that you're proud of to hand on to people, follow your heart and your head. Because this community loves what they are into. And if you just follow your head, you'll make money. That's good. If you follow your heart and your head, you'll make a thriving business. If you only follow your heart, you'll go bankrupt. So it's getting that balance right. But honestly, find a game. If you're listening to Steamforged or anybody from it, find something you adore and bring that out to us again. Because there's a lot of us out here who are going, that was the wrong thing to say. That was the wrong way to release that press release. Or that release. We still want to love your company. We still want to buy stuff off you. And it's kind of, if I'm honest, I'm not angry, I'm just really sad about it. It just saddens me. I hope you hear the heart of that, folks. I hope that makes sense. Because this is a hobby we love. This was a company I adored at the start, particularly. And it just feels a bit sad, to be honest. I don't know. Yeah, that's my 2p's worth. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. You know the normal deal with this kind of stuff, guys. I hope you have a lovely day. But yeah, it's kind of a bit like that today, to be honest. It's kind of been a bit of a long goodbye for Guildball, and it's one of those. It feels a bit like, yeah, okay, it ran its course. I hope the company doesn't. But if they start blaming their customers, they might survive. If they don't and they start following what they love, they'll do well. Because these guys know what they're doing. They know how to turn it. I mean, this company still turned out their first game was one of the best games I've ever seen. now that I've been playing games a long time, I'm just, for the last 6 years, I'm looking at it and going, that is such a good game. And that was their first game. They can turn out blisteringly good games. The challenge is, can they get their business right at the same time? Their gaming decisions are spot on. The business decisions maybe need to be, I'm not sure about. And I hope that they learn from this. And I hope the lessons they learn are the right ones. Follow what you believe in, develop stuff that's brilliant, and actually really go for it in terms of listening to the community, but look and learn from other people on that business side, because the business side's the bit that just seems to be, some weird decisions were made. I don't know. But anyway, have a great day, guys, and bye-bye.